The fighting nerds, I was talking to John Anik about this. He said they have data scientists that work for the team. Data scientists who analyze techniques.
Every now and then, a new team takes MMA by storm, undefeated streaks, viral interviews, bold predictions. And in Brazil, that team was the Fighting Nerds. For a moment, they looked unstoppable, but then came the UFC's ultimate test. Were the Fighting Nerds fraud-checked, or is this just part of the journey to greatness? Today, we'll dive into their rise, their struggles, and what the future holds for Caio Borralho, Carlos Prates, Jean Silva, and Mauricio Ruffy. Let's rewind. The Fighting Nerds started in Brazil under Pablo Sucupira and Caio Borralho. At first, the idea sounded like a joke, nerds who fight, but soon the name became a brand. These guys were disciplined, smart, analytical, and most importantly, winning. By 2024, they were crowned Academy of the Year. Fans were hyped. Even the media started calling them the next generation of Brazilian MMA.
That whole team, apparently, the Fighting Nerds, I was talking to John Anik about this. He said they have data scientists that work for the team who analyze techniques, and they like break things down, like what's effective and patterns. They find patterns of opponents, what the person does, when they do it, how they do it. Brazil.
But here's the bigger question. Are the Fighting Nerds actually frauds, or are they just paying the price of being hyped too soon? Leading the charge is Caio Borralho. Early on, he was called the Brazilian GSP, a guy who's well-rounded, smart, disciplined. But his fight with Nasruddin Imavov exposed cracks. Instead of leaning on his grappling, he chose to strike, and Imavov's speed and precision picked him apart. That decision made fans wonder, does Caio sometimes fight with pride instead of strategy? Still, he's dangerous. His fight IQ is high, his grappling is strong, and on paper, he can hang with anyone. But in a middleweight division stacked with Duplessis, Chimaev, and even wildcards like Anthony Hernandez, some analysts even say his best move is up to light heavyweight, where his wrestling could dominate less grappling heavy opponents like Jamahal Hill or Prochaska. Imagine Caio dragging one of those strikers into deep water. That's a whole different story. Then we have Carlos Prates, and if Caio is brains, Prates is pure chaos. He's the kind of fighter Dana White loves. Unpredictable, violent, exciting. Prates lived in Thailand, fought hundreds of times, and has the vibe of a street fighter who just walked into the UFC cage. He smokes, he parties, and then he goes in and lands spinning elbows that put people to sleep. Fans eat it up. And let's be honest, the UFC is an entertainment business. Nobody wants to see 25 minutes of Dagestani wrestling, and they want fireworks. Prates gives them that. His win over Jeff Neal was electric, and even his loss to Ian Gary didn't kill his momentum because Gary is already top tier. The real question, can he beat Leon Edwards? If Leon controls him in grappling, that might expose a ceiling, but if Prates can keep it standing, he's a live underdog, and the UFC would push him to the moon if he pulled that upset. Next up, Jean Silva. Young, aggressive, emotional. He's only 28, but fights like someone who wants every moment to be a highlight. Against Diego Lopez, he looked sharp early, then got caught with a spinning elbow that shut his lights out. Brutal. But here's the thing, that fight showed his potential too. He survived a tough ground round, came back strong, and showed he's got heart. His issue isn't skill, it's control. Dangerous, but sometimes reckless. If he channels that energy, he could be a serious contender. Plus, Jean knows how to sell a fight. Trash talk, swagger, highlight reel striking. The UFC loves that combination. With the right matchmaking, Jean Silva could absolutely become a fan-favorite contender. Finally, we've got Mauricio Ruffy, the most disappointing story so far. He came in with hype, a flashy striking style, and confidence to say he could beat guys like Topuria and Makhachev. But when he faced Benoit Saint-Denis, it was a nightmare. Saint-Denis smothered him, exposed his one-shot striking style, and made Ruffy look like a boy among men. The lightweight division is unforgiving. We're talking sharks like Sarukian, Gamrot, Oliveira. There's no easy path. Unless Ruffy reinvents himself, adds volume, and builds a real ground game, he risks being remembered as hype that couldn't deliver. Still, he's young. Fighters do evolve. The question is, will he adapt or fade out? But here's the bigger question. Are the Fighting Nerds actually frauds, or are they just paying the price of being hyped too soon? Remember, even legends stumbled. Charles Oliveira had multiple UFC losses before becoming champion. Glover Teixeira was written off before finally winning gold at 42. The UFC is about evolution, and right now, the Fighting Nerds are being tested. Some will break, some will rise, and that's what makes this story fascinating. So, were they fraud-checked? Yeah, kind of. The aura of invincibility is gone, but the future isn't written yet. Carlos Prates is the most likely to break through, true, Silva has the potential to be a star, Caio Borralho might need a new division, and Mauricio Ruffy has the hardest climb of all. But in MMA, one big win changes everything. That's why we watch. Now, I want to hear from you. Which fighting nerd has the best shot at becoming UFC champion? Drop your pick in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more MMA deep dives, and check out our video on Diego Lopes' insane rise, because that man is rewriting history as we speak.